leave the frequency. I'll leave it open. But yeah, I get in here from about 0600. I leave Sunday off. Usually I don't get in here because there's a net in here, and then there's a German group that gets in here. I don't come in at that time, and I don't operate at other times because there's other nets, and they have a perfect right to operate on this frequency the same way I do. But by the same token, I have a right to come on and operate as well. And when we hear this kind of stuff going on, and you're absolutely right, unethical sort of ramming of horn, I guess you'd call it activity. But I have never heard, when John and I are on in the morning, KB3MZQ and the KN3CML, we give our call signs. CML even brings his wife, Anna in, and we're still jammed, and we still have carriers going on and off, and we have people making rude and sometimes obscene remarks on the frequency without properly IDing. Now, some of those remarks are, I don't know about the FCC and obscenity and decency. They say that they can't really enforce that anyway, but if you're going to come out with an obscene remark or a vulgar remark, you got to be man enough to give your call sign behind it. John does that. John doesn't give vulgar remarks. I try not to. I'm not saying that I'm a choir boy. I'm saying that over the past maybe 3 or 4 years, there have been incidences where I've actually come on a frequency and done a kind of rude kind of thing, and I'm going to take accountability for that. For example, getting on like this net that comes on Sunday. I don't understand why they seem to think they have that frequency open to them when I've already been on it early. But I soon found out that those folks that are on this net, I don't know what it is, I soon found out that there's no point in opposing them and no point in pushing them around or anything like that or telling them anything, because the only way to resolve it is just not to do it. Just don't get in there. Don't get involved with it. So on Sunday, I don't get involved. I'm not teaching anybody anything. What I'm saying is that there are at least 4 illegal stations here that repeatedly violate the law. KC2GRU, one-way transmissions, indecency and threats. KC2ZUR, I think that's his called, Truza. And there are others that we know who they are, but we can't, we know their call signs. Let me put it to you this way. We know their call signs, but their mode to interfere with this frequency is not to give their call signs when they're in this little boy mode. They don't give their call signs, but nonetheless, we have monitors. We know who they are, and I'm not going to recite who they are, but we have 6 or 7 stations that we know come in here to cause hate and discontent. So I told the ARRL, hell, I've been in radio for 50 plus years, actually 55 or is it 56 years. I don't need to go another year in it. I really don't. I don't feel that I need to for any reason. And I would rather leave with a good taste in my mouth. But on the other hand, if I'm the focal point of all of this crap, then obviously maybe it's just wise for me to move, if you see what I'm saying. And I made that offer. I made that offer to the OO in Newington, and he's going to get back to me on it. And if I need to, I'll call him on the cell phone, and we will discuss it. The ARRL, I'm not the ARRL, but the FCC, if you're keeping track of what's going on, they really have cut back a lot on their enforcement, and they never were super good at enforcing. Look at how long it took them to send out those letters on 14313. It was over a period of years. I'm talking 10 years just to nail, 2 or 3 people up on 14313. So if you're looking to the FCC to nail people on a regular basis, you can forget it. So what that tells me is we, as an amateur radio community, are on our own to be collegial and try to resolve our own problems. If we're being stupid idiots, we ought to admit it. If we're doing something illegal, we should admit it. The people that are on here, because they have formed their own little clique, They're not going to admit what they're doing. But anyway, I run off at the mouth too much, but that's what goes on this frequency. Now, the same thing goes on 7200. Even worse. Right now, there's nothing real bad going on 7200. On certain days, if you will go up there, you'll hear obscenity, you'll hear sexual innuendo, you'll hear basic bodily threats. I had one idiot that called my telephone number several times. He was harassing me over the phone. This isn't part of amateur radio, friends. It's not part of amateur radio. And if you don't know how to operate your radio, I would suggest you not be on the air. I mean, don't you know how to operate your radio? Anyway, I know I've taken a lot of time to explain the situation, but yeah, I'd like to resolve it. K1LEM. The band isn't even open then. It isn't even open then. And sometimes I don't even get on I get a cup of coffee, I sit down here, I see if John's out there, and Joe, and some of the regulars, and we just have fun, that's all. And I don't want to go into what my personal opinion is about the gulf between what some people think amateur radio should be and the way they see it. But the only thing I can tell you is this. I see amateur radio sort of only in the light of what the FCC says you can't do. Now, if you go right now, and I suggest you do this if you haven't already done it, go to the ARRL website or pick up Part 97. It's pretty short. It's a pretty short read. It tells you all the laws, sub-laws, communication laws for amateur radio. Now, one thing to be aware of is when they open up and they start talking about amateur radio, the FCC in the preamble rolls off about 13 different bases and purposes for the amateur radio hobby. Now, I was told by a quite intelligent guy, a lawyer, in fact, in Pennsylvania, that those don't correspond because the FCC came up with those in 1947. A lot of us weren't even around then. And in 1947, I was only 2 years old. So they're old, they're dated. But now, if you go and you read through that, you've got to honestly say, is there any one of those, as the FCC is projecting what it believes, or and basically if it's in print and it's a part of the law, part of the Communications Act, then that's what they think amateur radio is. It doesn't say anything about red shoes, it doesn't say anything about nets, it doesn't say anything about contesting. All these things have sort of built up. I'm not saying they're in violation of basis and purpose, but when people start criticizing John and myself for the way we conduct ourselves on 185, we have as much right to conduct ourselves as long as we are under FCC Part 97 as any. We have a right to do that. Just like you could start a net, you can have a DX contest, you can have special events, all these things. None of those things are contained in the FCC Part 97. Look, I mean, I think everybody that gets a license should be required to read that and understand it completely. What does it in particular mean? Now, the truth of the matter is that we're all human beings, right? And most of us are men. I wish we had more women in the hobby. Maybe if there were more women in the hobby, more of we men would behave ourselves. We had ladies around. In fact, I'm sure we do. That was one of the reasons that I was hopeful that K3CML would bring Anna in the morning. She's a really funny lady. And I was hoping that, and I hear her giving a nice horse laugh in the background occasionally. She really adds a lot to the environment there in the morning. So she's a lady that maybe people would behave themselves. again, you can't really control human behavior. Look at all the stuff that just went on over the Black Friday. I mean, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. All I know is that if I'm contributing to it, I don't want to. I don't go to Walmart during Black Friday because I don't want to get hit and so forth. So the issue is that people think that I'm here just to cause hate and discontent. Not so. Been in radio too long for that. I think that my proposition is that we should not really be looking too much. I mean, if several stations are having fun, then let them have fun. It's not your job to go in and call somebody a homosexual or a this or a that or anything else, or to go on frequency the way WO9E does and just jam to try to take the frequency out. That's, even though he uses his call sign, that's still malicious and intentional interference. And ZUR does the same thing. Just goes on and jams it. As I say, we can forgive GRU because he's a drunk, and I say that. Well, my dad was a drunk too, so I'm not saying that I'm not using it as a criticism. You know, he's had a lifetime of alcoholism in which he's still engaging in it. So he comes on and he does his thing. But again, I mean, okay, so he's an alcoholic, so he's 74 years old. Does that absolve him from the regulations that you and I and everybody else in amateur radio should be abiding by? And they're not all that difficult, are they? It's just mutual respect. If there's a net on the frequency and you know they're there, don't harass them. If they come on suddenly and demand the frequency or something, well, okay, so you can tell them, well, you know, you guys should remember you don't own the frequency. But, you know, you don't have to go into detail about it, because if you're wrapping heads with somebody, I don't care who it is, even your neighbor. Do you honestly think you're going to change their position at all? No, of course you don't. All you do is, you know, it's just as somebody told me, it's like a peeing contest. That's all it is. Who can pee further? It doesn't go anywhere. Does it keep amateur radio alive and make more people happy to be licensed and all that stuff? Of course it doesn't. It's a shameful part of the hobby. It needs to be corrected. And we can correct it just by mutual respect. And by the way, sir, you made a very good suggestion. I don't know if it'll work, but if you have an inside track with any of these stations, by all means, tell them. Of course, ZUR won't be here because he's a machine operator and he won't be here on Monday. On the weekends, he certainly is very active, causing interference. And I know it's intentional, definitely. So we do have some miscreant personalities on the frequency, but you know what happens is you get into a situation where somebody does something, right? And then so somebody else sits back. It's like a bar fight, right? Somebody spills somebody's beer. So then you say, you just spilled my beer. So then there's a threatening behavior that goes on, and so then a bar fight breaks out. How do you avoid bar fights? Well, you avoid bar fights if you're going to have bars by not letting people get too drunk and maybe keeping them separated and having a bouncer, you know. But in amateur radio, we don't have a bouncer. The only bouncer we've got is the FCC, and she's not there too much anymore. So, make a long story short, I'm very willing to do what it needs. I mean, I've been in radio long enough. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I have other activities in my life other than radio. If anybody would really want to know how I operate, I come on in the morning when I get out of bed. You know, I make a cup of coffee, I sit down, I see whether John's around, whether Joe's around, whether Anna's in there. And sometimes I try, to be honest with you completely, I try very, very hard to be out of here by 8:30 Eastern. Really and truly, I watch that clock and I say, okay, well, it's really time for me to stand down. You'll also notice that John, KB3MZQ, does exactly the same thing, and he's better at it than I am. He's really better at it than I am. Sometimes he'll bow out 8 o'clock to 7:15. I can't tell you the number of times that John just sort of bows out. Now, on some occasions, Joe will be in there with Anna, so we might carry on a little bit longer. But I'll be quite frank with you. The intent on my end is to get out of here by 0830. It really is. Just open up the frequency, and it's over. Now, if people don't want to be interfered with and catcalled and, by K1LEM, I suggest you don't do that to me. Picking on people like KCGRU, you don't know how sick that guy is. I mean, seriously, he just bought himself a 4-hole. In fact, I'm going down a road that's very touchy, and I'm not picking on him. If you watched how he operates, he operates by his own incompetencies, and then he causes a reaction in me, and then the whole damn thing starts up again. But basically, you think that he's innocent. Well, he's only innocent by the fact that he's an alcoholic. That's the only part of it. So all I can do is not respond to KCGRU. I mean, just don't respond to it. But he may come back on frequency and jam and so forth. But there's nothing I can do about that, if you see what I'm saying. Now, I hope you know, this long transmission, it really needs to get explained, because I apparently am the target for a lot of this stuff that goes on. However, I noticed this morning a couple of really strange things. When John began to speak out, John normally does not speak up. He does not say controversial things the way I do. And he began to speak up this morning. I noticed he was attacked. So apparently, if you fight back at all, or if you say anything at all, and you become the subject of somebody's attack. WOE attack. I've never heard that idiot in Indiana attack anybody but me. He was attacking John Kaczynski this morning because John said something to him. So what can I say? I mean, the dynamics of it are really pretty childish. When you think about it, they're really pretty childish, and the solutions are really pretty simple. And any junior high school principal or teacher knows how to get things in line. So if they're out of line, put down some rules, and things can get back into line. Now, as I just got through telling you, I wrote the chief of the OOs in Newington just a moment ago. I'm going to call him tomorrow, and I'm going to explain to him as I see it. And I admitted, all the past history and so forth. But I said to him, if you don't have any way of really resolving this, I would gladly just get out of there. I mean, maybe the thing is to just get out of there and let these people get on with their business, whatever it is, and don't see it as a defeat. See it as basically a victory for amateur radio. Because if you can avoid the kind of terrible behaviors that have been going on this frequency, the 2-0, do you honestly think that this forwards amateur radio in any reasonable light to anybody? Of course it doesn't. And any more than 14313 does, or 7200. It's just a bunch of men having, not caring what they say, and taking a hobby, taking a medium radio, and using it like they would in a bar room or some other medium, and then having fun with it without realizing how destructive it can be to people in amateur radio, or how destructive it can be to the amateur radio hobby itself. And I'm acknowledging that, okay? So I think we got a good idea. If you do that, I'd appreciate it. K1LEM.
I got your sister Diana's phone number here. If you don't quit forming and maliciously interfering on 7200, I'm going to give Diana, your little trustee to your change purse, a phone call.
You see, this is the stuff that goes on. You just interfered with this frequency. You're doing the same thing that you say that I'm doing up there. Yeah, give Diana a call. She'd be glad to hear from you.
I will. And I'll put her number out to everybody else. Since she controls your change purse and your spending and your little play dates out with your counselors to go to Walmart for your little tours and Lowe's, she might be interested in your behavior on the radio. And I'm not maliciously interfering with you. I'm letting you know that you just left 7200 informing me, and I'm letting everybody else know that K1LEM just left 7200 maliciously interfering with my conversation.
I can call your daughters, too. You want me to call your daughters? I can do the same thing. You don't work for a living, but I can call your
little bit of money there.
Place you work. You think that I'm about to do any of those things? Of course I'm not. Because I'm an honorable person. Unlike yourself, Daniel G. Turkovich, you're not an honorable person of any type. So don't try to let us believe that, because you don't believe that for a minute. Your traditions are from 14313, and you don't kid anybody. You'd
Well,
like to
you
think you're
would
an
know
honorable
that, wouldn't you?
guy,
Since
but
you
you're
were
not.
up there with your boyfriend,
But anyway, the station I was talking to before we were interrupted, Church of Issues on there making his grand
I got your whole history
I think he's partially an alcoholic myself.
back when you were WYG. I know all your history. I know your little Star Trek collections, your little Star Trekker. I know all your history about your kitty cat. I know your history about being a groupie for Melissa Milano, ex-porn star, and now ARCP, crybaby, and feed the little children hooker. I know everything about you now, buddy. So all I'm telling you is you need to back off from your malicious interference on 7200, or I'm going to start making things difficult for you. In that orange
I told him that in an email. I said, I will, in the interest of amateur radio, I've been in it half a century. I don't have to be in it any longer. If you want me to stand down and that's the solution and there's no other solution, I don't have to admit guilt because I don't feel I am guilty. But I'll stand down. I will go away, and I told that to the OO in a letter just a moment ago on email. I'm going to call him tomorrow. I'm going to tell him the same thing. He comes back to me. He tells me, well, we know we got a problem on 7200. We know we got a problem on 313. We know we got a problem on 105. And who knows how many other problems we got on other frequencies. I don't know every other frequency that's a problem. I don't. But
most of them do sooner or later.
I would like to believe after half a century in the hobby that if I have to sacrifice myself or my activities, which as I've said are not that important to me,
You're doing a fine job, Danny boy. I'll listen. Canine
Talking to Anna, I do enjoy talking to Joe. But you know what? If we could get some kind of peace and reasonableness on 40 meters or on this frequency, I'm willing just to unplug my radio and say, adios, amigo, because people think that I'm trying to do this in a kind of bullying way. No, nothing's further from the truth. I've had all the radio I can take, unlike you are. It's like radio is your whole life. You sit there with your friends up on 200, it's your whole life. Shut up. And that's why you come here and you make me stress about calling my sister Diana and this other stuff. You just show where you're at by doing that. Do you think that in my wildest dreams I would ever call your daughters or anybody with your work? I'd never call.
Am I louder than him? This is KF2GB.
My whole life, Daniel G. Turkovich, not unlike yours, is not an alcoholic life. I have another type of life that I lead. Not like your alcoholic fat ass life on 7200 and pretending you're a churchman on 7200 because you're not. You're not. You're a miscreant, and everybody knows you're a miscreant. You cannot hide that. I don't know if you've admitted it to yourself yet, but you are. By your own conduct, you are a miscreant. You will go back up there on 7200 and you will just conduct yourself like you're a channel master.
He's got a set of headphones and he's just falling in love with his own voice.
Your whole life, you'll be there tomorrow, you'll be there every day. Now, I'm not trying to direct your life in the church of it. I ignored you. I can't see how anything K1LEM could say about you, but I really ignore you. And why would I want to harass you? Why in the hell would I want to harass N9RSY? What kind of positive thing could ever come out of the radio? Nothing can come out of it. You're not smart enough to say that nothing positive in my life can come out of harassing me. So I don't know why you want to come down here and harass me.
South Carolina. He lives in his dead mother's home. His sister Diana is
everybody on the street.
the trustee of the state,
I told
and she allowed him out his inheritance money in accordance with how she sees fit. Well, I thought since she's his babysitter, maybe since he's too stupid to stop what he's doing, maybe if I call Diana, hopefully she's a reasonable and intelligent woman, and she can tell Gary that, look, Gary, if you don't stop what you're doing to these people, I'm going to cut down your allowance. Maybe that would shut him up.
Official observers. And I said to the chief of that, I wrote him an email. I said, if we can resolve it, I'll sacrifice myself. I've been in radio half a century. I would like to leave the hobby if that's what I'm going to do with a good taste in my mouth. And I don't want to leave the hobby.
You're still sounding real good coming out of New York.
Channel or something on that line. But Daniel, I'm not going to give you advice that you wouldn't take it anyway. You need to find yourself a life outside of being channel master on 7200.
That your grandma or somebody used to?
And the very fact that you come down here and do what you're doing indicates to any intelligent person
Yes, I've seen that. Yes, I have.
What you're doing up on 7200. And when you're taking things so seriously...
Well, he thinks, in his mind now, I'm not just telling you how this gentleman thinks. In his mind, he is an all-powerful broadcast station, and when he talks, he thinks he's like Merrill Lynch. He honestly believes everybody is listening.
By the SBC to use the radio
I'm not listening to him, but
that's all it is. That's all it is.
I'm able to cover him up, which is good.
Dude, you're 25 over S9 down here in Memphis, Tennessee. He has like maybe a 9 or a 10-ish unit signal from South Carolina.
I got
Don't carry stuff outside the box because you understand that when you're on amateur radio, the only law that, as long as you don't threaten anybody, the only law that really applies seriously, man, is the FCC. 97 law.
So that's what I'm using to fairly much more cover.
Well, you can come back here 5 or 10 minutes from now, and he'll still be keyed down in his idiocy, long spiel. He's rambling along much about to do nothing. And you and I will still hear each other 20, 25 over.
I got you. Sorry, I listened to the place for people on the phone, and I never heard this guy carrying on like that.
Something on amateur radio? I bet you've got to be kidding me. But I tell you what, there are people that are that sick. There are people that have lives that are that sick.
They moved from 14313 to 40 meters a few years ago now. After they chased all these guys out of 14313, they decided, Gary and Tom decided they would pick 7.185 as their new frequency. And everybody from 14313 is now congregated to 40 meters. If not 7200, they're on 7185. That's amateur radio.
Himself.
Okay.
You do, day in and day out.
Yeah, I thought you'd get it there. Well, you're from New York. You know these things.